right now with the whole virus, what we're going through right now with the lockdown of the earth. Now it's a reset into the fourth industrial revolution. So now this is a pause. It's like a controlled demolition, and then they're relaunching it into the fourth industrial revolution. So that it's all intertwined, like the environment movement, the corporations. World Economic Forum is probably the biggest behind everything, and that encompasses all the corporations, all global finance, ruling class. It gets actually a little more confusing. In my series, I wrote last January that the Green New Deal is a Trojan horse for the fourth industrial revolution, which it is. Like if you look at the EU Green New Deal, it's all about digitalization, increased militarism. So it's not about, none of this is about environment. None of this is about protection of biodiversity. This is all a transition to a whole new global economic system. And not just that, it's a transition to a whole industrial way of living where we're merging with technology. So it's the opposite of being like, all of this, so much of this is because we've lost our connection with nature, right? We continue to lose our very, very important critical connection to nature. And going forward, there's basically no nature at all. It's you and digital and technology, and that's it, right? And it's all tied into blockchain. And so what happens, all your behavior is linked through the blockchain to your benefits. And so the blockchain, there's no human oversight. It's all contracts tied into the blockchain, which, by the way, China just launched their blockchain on April 25th, which is a huge security threat to the US dollar. So even nature itself will be monetized and tied into the blockchain. So it's all there. Even the Fourth Industrial Revolution website is online. People can look at it. It's very dystopian, very terrifying. Again, destroying the remnants left of our already deteriorating social fabric, our already deteriorating relationship with the natural world. I mean, we have to reconnect with the natural world, not monetize it and put a price tag on it and trade it and objectify it. We had to go back and really work on those relationships. We have to reconnect with nature. It's all Internet of Things, everything connected to the internet, every aspect of your life and existence. I mean, even in the very near future where your thoughts do not belong to you, right? Even your thoughts don't belong to you anymore. World Economic Forum has a story on the year 2030, and so there's a woman who's written a story talking about her life, and then near the bottom she says she has no privacy, she has no thoughts that belong to her own, and even her dreams are no longer hers alone. And then she just adds, but it's great, and she just hopes that no one will use it against her. It's a complete surveillance, not even state, it's a global surveillance system that's even being rolled out right now under the guise of COVID-19. At the same time, on March 26th, they launched the Global Education Network for Digital Learning. Right now, all this, I mean, kids across the whole globe are out of school, even though they're impervious to COVID-19 anyway. They really don't get it. They don't get sick from it, anything. They're all out of school. It's a transition to digitalization, which is a huge part of Fourth Industrial Revolution happening right now. In New York, some families who don't have laptops or whatever, if you're not online being engaged in there, children's services will come to your house. You can have your children taken. So now we have Microsoft, we have like the world's biggest sociopaths in charge of shaping and molding our children even more so than they're already being molded by, you know, entertainment, media, technology. It's like a whole new level. In the World Economic Industrial Revolution education booklet that just came out in January, they say right in it that the teacher, the human teacher, is obsolete now going forward. That doesn't fit into the 21st century fourth industrial revolution education. And so this is already happening. It launched this digital network with 90 partners and corporations involved. This takes a long time to create this. It doesn't just happen overnight. Facebook's involved, Microsoft, I don't know, they're all on the site. You can go to that website, they're all there. It's already rolling out. Public tax dollars are being paid to buy children laptops and everything if they don't have them. Yeah, and all of our kids more so. It's bad enough that, you know, what technology has done to the social fabric of our society and to children, but now it's going like even more so. I mean, I can't really imagine the amount of depression and suicide and just general unhappiness that's going to come out of this. And there's a conditioning happening right now, like the distancing from the human and the bonding, the further bonding to technology.
Yeah,
this is
really.
Right. And so this is happening. No one's even aware of it. It's a global thing. It's in progress. Who's going to advocate for our children? Who? Like, who's advocating for them? Like, from what I've seen so far, the unions and everything are all on board with this. There's no one protecting our children from this dystopian world where your life is screen, digital technology. That's your entire existence, even where it starts to merge with your own physical self. Where are their advocates? Why are we not, as mothers and parents, advocating for our children? Why are we not fighting this patriarchy that's going to sacrifice our children to the altar of fourth industrial revolution? Yeah, I mean, it's hard because it's addictive. The technology is addictive. The screen's addictive. That's the scientific fact.
Yeah.
And that's why Silicon Valley executives do not let their own children near it. You know, and there's lots of articles on that you can read. Their nannies are not allowed to let the children near that technology. And if they're caught, those nannies are fired. There's a lot of social engineering and conditioning happening right now. A lot of it, lots of it. Like, even when the Greta book came out, I never had attacks that anything in the research wasn't correct. It was just anger, you know, and that might be something that you understand even better than me. Just people were mad. They did not want to know. They did not want their idea of someone coming to save them blemished. They wanted to believe, right? And it was more of that than anything else. They wanted to believe. And how dare I try to, you know, mess up that story? Only belong if you go along.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really, really good at that, at isolating dissenting voices. Everything that you'll see now, there's a new thing. It's just started again, basically the COVID recovery for cities. So C40 cities, which is behind all of this as well, that's Bloomberg, Clinton. They have all, I guess it circles back to where we started, 5G. Smart cities can't advance without 5G. So right now there's, you'll see in The Guardian, you're gonna start seeing a lot of articles about green cities. How do we come out of this and have beautiful green cities? Knowing that people are disgusting and don't fit in with anything, we need to keep it like this. And that's all about, and they'll sound good. Like, the articles will just say, oh, you know, they're going to create this bike lane. They're gonna take this road that's empty because there's no people out, and we'll create a bike lane. And that sounds great. And we need bike lanes, and definitely bikes over cars. Like, obviously that's all great. But what they don't talk about behind that is actually the push for smart cities.
Yeah.
In their minds, everything for healing the earth can only come from smart cities. Like when they talk about biodiversity, protection of earth and that, it's not about that, it's about smart cities. And if you thinking they just launched a task force, the G20 launched a task force, or they didn't launch it, they just had a meeting, the digital task force to accelerate 5G. And then at the same time, C40 just created a task force of mayors to accelerate the smart cities. So this year we have it's all here, right? We've got the fourth industrial revolution accelerating. China just put out their blockchain, huge security issue to the US dollar. We've got the New Deal for Nature coming in October. We've got the digitalization of education already underway. We've got like the 5G accelerating, but like I said, I feel like we could, if we organized in our communities, that we could stop that. They're advancing that as fast as they can at this precise moment. And meanwhile, you can ask most people, go outside, ask 10 people what 5G is. Most people don't even know that word. No. So we've really been blindsided. And so there you go. There's proof. If you have any doubts at all, there's your proof that none of these groups give a fuck, right, about us. Yeah. Where's the resistance to 5G, which doctors and scientists tell us damage biodiversity, damage human health, damage plant life, where's the resistance? None. You know, where's the resistance to the financialization of nature? None. They're on board. They're helping build that. Okay, so data is the new oil. All life, your life, my life, we've become human capital, data commodities. Nature will be a portfolio of natural capital, all on the blockchain ledger. Okay, so for centuries, capitalists, ruling classes stole the labor, right, from the working class. They stole the labor, they all became billionaires, everything's stealing the labor, everyone knows this, of the working classes. But now they found a way to replace the humans, right? So now, basically, they will make money off our data and they will have us conform to the system, like we'll become completely compliant, for instance. And I have to say right now, the work of Alison McDowell to understand the blockchain and the smart contracts and how that will demand compliance to the system, even how New Deal for Nature, how nature will be all put into the blockchain. Alison McDowell is an independent research, a lot like myself. She just got into it. I forget how, I think through teaching. Anyway, she does a superb job of laying all this out. Also, Wrong Kind of Green has a primer on what blockchain is, what AI is, artificial intelligence, blockchain. So the blockchain is basically the ledger. The contract is over here. Say, so for instance, do you know what universal basic income is? UBI?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's being framed. That's like a neoliberal thing that's been, they've been devising it for years for this time when they start to automate all the jobs. It's basically an exchange trying to keep the working class, even middle class, from revolting, from resisting. They will give $1,000 a month. It'll be a new universal payment. And they're hoping that that will be enough just to give people barely enough to live, to keep them from resisting the new, how everything's going to be automated. So say you have your contract and say you'll have your payment over here, but say when you agreed to get your payment, it came with different conditions that you have to meet over here. So blockchain in the middle, your behavior on one side and your benefits on the other side. Everything to get your benefit has to be fulfilled through the contract and the blockchain by your behavior. So say you go to get your benefit, but within the contract, you were supposed to get the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, and you haven't got it. Well, guess what? No benefit, no, right? So you won't be forced, like in the Orwellian sense, was like maybe the military won't stand and force you, but you'll be forced because you have to feed your children.
Yeah.
You'll be forced because you need health care,
Yeah.
right? So it's that kind of compliance. Yeah, and so you can create a fully compliant society without really even exerting physical force, because it's all based on people's needs, and people need to eat, and people need to feed their children, and people need health care. So all you have to do is tie those in. Like within the blockchain, there's no human, there's no human oversight. It's just the blockchain. If you don't fulfill, you don't get. It's that clear cut, that simple. Like there, you'll get people who say, oh, like blockchains, you know, can be made a force for good, right? And then they talk about Bitcoin, which I don't know very much about, but I just know, you know, people that create that stuff that are interested at the beginning hope that'll be a way to have more freedoms and democracies and that. But it gets co-opted, right? Like every time they always can take activism and commodify it. They can commodify anything and reframe it, restructure it for their own desires and own to fit into their own architecture of this cruel dystopian world that they want, that they're building. So yeah, the money already, like I said, in China, they've already launched their blockchain April 25th. You can barely, there's nothing on it here, but if you look it up, you'll find it. So it's already like, there's over 40 banks looking at digitalization of currency. That's already, again, that's another thing going forward, digitalization of currency. But none of it, unfortunately, is to the benefit of the common person, working class person, middle class, is to the benefit of the ruling class, right? To looking after their best interests, not ours.
Mm-hmm.
From, I guess, from the time we've been so domesticated, right? And from the time you're a child, you're not taught to think critically. If you come up against your teacher for an idea or anything, you're sent to the office. You know, you're told, no, you don't think for yourself. Listen to authority. Mm-hmm. And just more and more, I just see like, wow, we're really domesticated. How do we break out of these walls that we've created around us?
Yeah.
You know, what will it take? What will it take? Look what's happening. What will it take?
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know what it's going to take. There's a huge movement across the globe. There's so many individuals that are awake to what's happening and are very, very committedly, diligently working away in their own ways. So I do have hope.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm really actually so happy to even hear you say that, because sometimes when you're working on your own,
yeah,
you just forget people.
Yeah.
That are concerned and are working.
Yeah.
You know?
It's all being, we're not being shown. It's all being so censored that obviously it's not in the mainstream, but even on social media now, I mean, anything, I hardly post because I know no one's going to see anything I post anyway, because it gets only the people that already know what's going on get to see it, sort of thing.
So true. It's so ghosted. Like everything I share, I try to do like one post a week on Facebook. And I hate Facebook. I actually hate social media, but it's the only way we get hits to the website. Like that's where everyone is. Yeah. It's the master's tools. Eventually, they only work for the master. But I mean, that's what we have right now. So that's what we use. But even on those ones, people try to share the post, they won't share. right? They share them, people try to read them, content not available at this time. Everything's ghosted. Not, it's, yeah. I mean, soon, I think probably what will happen shortly, most people with dissenting voices or views or any kind of, real journalism will just be deleted and banned from social media platforms. Through, again, under the guise of COVID-19, all these fascist measures and legislations are coming in, to basically just clamp down on any opposing voices that go against, government, global institutions. Anyway, the one good thing I do want to say is that there is a silver lining in the whole 5G thing that has to be implemented at a municipal level. And that is a level of government that we do have more power, to exert our will. And so right now, I'm just saying it's possible to defeat that if people, not with NGOs, if people in their communities organize and fight that at a municipal level, it's possible to get that stopped in municipalities. That being said, they're already shooting like hundreds and thousands of satellites up into the atmosphere. But it is possible if we organize. I think that 5G, there's a chance to defeat it. And especially because you have so many scientists and doctors who are saying this is dangerous. Stop. We have to stop, demanding a moratorium.
About this, but basically moratorium, I think it's use of controlled opposition as well, because the word moratorium means, in the Black's Laws Dictionary, it means a delay to an obligation.
Is just basically, it's a word academics and scientists always use for everything, so they're not perceived as too radical.
We had here, where I live, in Totnes, in Devon, in the United Kingdom, is the council, people were asking for a moratorium, local activists, and the council declared a moratorium. But in the paper, when it's published, I read the article, they're basically saying, we're declaring a moratorium, but we don't think it has any power. Basically. Oh. So they're saying in the same breath, we don't think it has any power. And then I experienced other activists getting excited and saying, we've got a ban. And it's like, we haven't got a ban.
Yeah, that happens with fracking. That actually happens exactly with fracking. So they'll do a moratorium and then they'll have a big NGO try to make it like a victory for them, and they'll say, oh, we have a ban, we want a ban. And then the grassroots are like, no, it's not a ban, that's a moratorium, right? But they like to make it that, like, they like to use that to make it like they have this great big victory. It's just, we have to start again going back to our communities, creating real movements, real resistance based on defending the land, based on protecting the water, based on alliances with our sisters and brothers of the global south. It's not just about us. It's not just about maintaining our lifestyles that actually don't even nurture us or keep us happy. We can't depend on anyone else. It's up to us. There's no one that's going to come and save us, no one. So we do it or we don't. We're going to organize together and try to stop that, at least try, or we're not. So This is it. I mean, we've got not even a year.